Oye, mi gente, you know who this is. I received a letter on the 17th that really touched my heart a lot, and it inspired me to really get about starting something with the channel that I had been thinking about, but I just had so many things happening, I didn't have a chance to really focus on it. However, after getting this letter, I decided that for the 2013, this would be a really good time to go ahead with this portion of work for the channel. What this will be, essentially, I receive at times a good amount of personal messages on my page from people that are interested in knowing different things about mental health issues, questions about themselves, the things they're dealing with, or family, friends, loved one, children, partner. I mean, you name it. I think I've gotten every type of letter almost that you can think of from almost every type of person, from almost any kind of situation. So because of getting at times so many different correspondences, I felt it would be easier just to take out periods of time to do a video response, and we'll call it your mental health moment. And so what I would like, if you're out there and you see this video and you have a question that you would like for me to answer or address, just send it to me in a personal message, and what I'll do, I'll read your letter. I won't put your subscriber name. Of course, I'm going to respect your privacy or whatever. And then I'll respond to it. And I'm going to give my honest opinions and thoughts about the situation. I have been blogging about mental health issues here on YouTube since about 2009. And I've been living with mental health issues since I was a small child. And I've been in treatment for a number of years. So I think I have something that I may be able to share. With that being said, I'm not a mental health professional, but I have had a lot of years of experience dealing with such issues, and I know a lot of people also who deal with mental health issues as well. So I'm not a stranger to the topic at all. So what I would say is, if you would like, you can send personal messages again to my page. You can go on my page and send it, and from time to time we'll have these moments. So let's get started with the first letter. Right? Okay. This is from a young lady, and she entitles it "Advice, Please Help." Hi. First and foremost, thank you for posting all your videos about mental illness and schizophrenia. My boyfriend of 5 years, who is a young black male, by the way, has been suffering from mental illness since last year. However, at the time, his family and I did not understand what was happening to him until it got to the point last year in October. He was taken to a mental facility where he stayed for 5 days. He came out and we were together for about a month, and he seemed to be getting slightly better, although he still had his moments. However, a little over a month ago, we had to relocate, and he went to stay with his brother, and that day he relapsed, and that was the day he cut me off. I've tried to reach out to him every day since then, but he has cut all contact with me. My question to you is, in your personal experience, what is the best way I can help him, even though he's cut me off for no reason? I love this man with all my heart. We were planning on getting married right before all this happened. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid I will never hear from him again. I know people with mental illness many times tend to be hermits, keeping to themselves. But I also remember you mentioning that a lot of times they do want the interaction and may feel socially awkward. But what about when you have a mental illness, but have someone there wanting to help and be around you, but out of nowhere he stopped talking to me? Any advice that you may have would shed some light on this for me and give me some kind of clarity, and it would be so greatly appreciated. Thank you for taking the time to read my incredibly long email. This wasn't long, trust me. I've had much longer emails. First of all, I want to thank you for writing me, and thank you for watching the videos. Let's go right into it. What I would like to say that is, first of all, that schizophrenia is a thought disorder. So it really wreaks havoc on your thinking process and the way that you look at things. There are a number of perspectives that can cause a person with schizophrenia to distance themselves from you. Number one, it can be just the illness itself. It causes, yes, people to become socially awkward, so you can become uncomfortable and sometimes out of the blue with people that you may have known for a long time, and you could have had varying degrees of relationship with these people. It can be a personal, intimate relationship like what you have with this man, or it could be a family member or a friend. It doesn't discriminate. And when that awkwardness sets in, it goes across the board. It really doesn't matter who the person is. Let me speak to that. Now, from the way that your letter reads, beloved, it seems that this happened like all of a sudden. Let me go over it. You said that he was hospitalized last October, 5 days. He came out. You guys were together for a month. He seemed to be getting slightly better, although he still had his moments. Okay. So it seems like that he was still symptomatic. I'm not sure what his moments mean because you didn't really say. So was he having periods during that time where he was being distant? It sounds like there was a progression with this. Okay. Even though he was working towards it. What I will say that is the most difficult time to deal with mental illness, and let's be clear, schizophrenia is one of what's called major mental illnesses along with depression and bipolar. So it is one of the more more serious of the mental illnesses that a person can have. And that's not to say that all hope is lost for a person with schizophrenia. It's not. But what I do want to make very clear to you is that generally, and this is for almost all mental illnesses, but particularly the more serious ones like this one, the period when a person is first diagnosed, that is generally when they're at their most extreme of symptoms and the condition is at its worst, because it caused such a interruption to their life that it caused, in this case, an intervention. He had to be hospitalized. So I can tell just from that, he became very seriously ill. I don't know what exactly caused the hospitalization, but generally, in most places, you're not hospitalized unless you are a clear and present danger to yourself and or others. So this had to be pretty intense. That he had to go into hospital for this. Also, not only is this period of time almost the worst for many people that come down with mental illness, in many instances it takes almost, they've done research, and I can say the same thing for me. Generally, it's about a 10-year period between the time a person is diagnosed to when they begin to be able to begin to accept their illness and begin to learn how to live with it and manage it well enough to, what's the word I'm looking for, to be even somewhat of who they were. I think that in many cases you don't get back all of who you were, but you begin to recover somewhat. It's kind of like, I'll use this example. I heard a statement from Mariah Carey that she had started smoking, I think it was, don't quote me on this part, I think for a year and a half, and she originally had 5 octaves and she got back 3, and that was from the damage that the cigarettes had done to the voice. And it really is just very devastating what this illness does to you. Let me also talk about another reason why a person with schizophrenia will separate or break relations with people, friendships, personal relations, whatever. Not only because of the illness itself that causes them to feel awkward, but the person also can have delusions. A delusion is a false belief that is pretty much unshakable. They can get a delusion that you, and you being whoever, are a harmful person that trying to hurt them, any number of things, and that will also cause a person to isolate. So, again, the two main reasons that I'm aware of is the illness itself, causing them to be very fearful and uncomfortable and just really distraught themselves because they're trying to deal with this illness and they don't know how. It begins to cause you to lose not only your desire to be around people, but your social skills. And sometimes in the midst of that, you may want to still reach out to people, but then after so long, you just kind of lose the feeling for it. I mean, this has happened to me countless times throughout my life. Been, close to people, and then something happens and you just lose that connection. And then sometimes that can happen too because the people don't know how to respond to you once you present, with a mental health challenge. They feel awkward and then they wind up withdrawing. But I see in this case, of course, you're still very much in love and connected to him, and you want to hopefully restore what was there. My honest and best advice to you is to be very patient. I read that, let's see, that may have been in the second email that you said you were still sending messages. I'm trying to see, is that here in this email, because you sent me two. Okay, yeah, here it is, sir. You said, I've tried to reach out to him every day since then, but he has cut all contact. It could even be, like I said, I don't know the extent of how ill he is, but it could even be that he may feel at this particular point, because he's so ill at this moment, that you are trying to harm him, or you have some ill will or feelings. This illness, again, especially when you first become ill, can be very wicked, the way that it causes you to think, and it makes you, I need to say this, it can make you very paranoid. Now, there are like about 5 different subtypes of schizophrenia, and you can check out my video. It's called, I believe it's called Disorganized Schizophrenia and the Subtypes of Schizophrenia. That's on my page. So definitely subscribe if you haven't, so you can keep abreast of all the videos that will be coming. But he could also be very paranoid, and if he is dealing with paranoid schizophrenia, this is a person that's paranoid to the extreme, and it could be about everything in general, or about specific things or people, and that ties in with delusions, where you get the false idea that this person's trying to harm you or do whatever. I would recommend not calling as much, not leaving as many messages, but periodically checking in. But what I really want to say to you, beloved, is to really look at this realistically. If this were a person, and this is not to say that recovery is not possible, it is, it generally takes time, and it generally takes a length of time for a person to be able to start to come around. And and I will say that it varies from person to person. It took me about 10 years for me to really understand what I was dealing with, and to be able to manage living with schizoaffective disorder. So I want you to look at it like this. Say, for example, that he had a physical illness that happened, or a physical tragedy. Say he was involved in a very, very serious accident, and The doctors were warning you it's a good possibility that he may be paralyzed or may have suffered brain damage as a result of this accident, or that he may regain possibly some of his mobility, but it's a good possibility that he may not regain all of what he had, or he may regain a portion of what he had, or because of the brain injury, because this is a brain disease, schizophrenia is, that they may not mentally and psychologically be the person that you knew before. They may not completely be able to remember a lot of things. They may or may not even remember you. Okay. And it may not be quite that extreme, but I want you to just realistically begin to think about the fact that he has suffered a very, very serious crisis, and he may not be the same person that he was after this. And then you have to, for yourself, decide what you need to do to be able to be okay with your life in the event, just in the event, that he's not able to recover enough for you guys to do what you intended to do. You know, God forbid, and hopefully he will come around, but you need to have a plan B in terms of you, because it will be no service to you, and I'm sure that in his right mind he wouldn't want you to stop your life or for you to be unhappy because something happened to him. And I'm sure that you wouldn't want the same thing for him. You got to think about, in the best of times, what would have been the intention? What would he have wanted for you, or what would you have wanted for him in case, you know, something tragic happened and plans for marriage were dashed or put them in danger? And these are things a lot of times that we don't like to think about, but it's things that you have to consider, you know. So I want you to really think about those things, you know. Just what if it doesn't work, or what if, and when I say doesn't work, if because of his, you know, illness of schizophrenia that he's dealing with, it made it impossible, either because I doubt that seriously that he would not remember. I don't think it would be that bad, but maybe he just had a permanent thought that he didn't want to be around people. And that's not against you personally. I mean, it can really happen, and it is so difficult. Or maybe eventually he may come around and may not be able to give you that type of relationship. There's so many different outcomes, so I don't want you to have a fixed outcome in your mind. What I need for you to do is to be prepared for however this may turn out. Loving a person doesn't involve what your vision is for them. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, loving a person is truly allowing them to go through whatever process that they go through, and being okay with whoever it is that they become. I mean, as long as it's not a situation where a person is harming themselves or others, I'm not asking you to be okay with that. But sometimes things happen in our lives, in the lives of others, that we love and care about, that causes changes. And sometimes the changes are not what we would have wanted for them or with them. But if you really love someone, it takes patience and understanding to understand that things do happen, and sometimes things won't be as you may have desired or intended, and it happens. That has happened to me so many times, and I'm sure that many of the viewers that will, you know, see this video can also attest to the same thing, especially those of us that have dealt with mental illness. Now, there are some instances, of course, where a person can recover and come around, and that can be a great outcome. And that's quite possible for that to happen. I'm not saying that it won't, but you, beloved, need to be prepared for whichever way that this will come. And if it should be that the relationship is not able to be redeemed or put back on track the way that it was. You've got to be able to have enough love for yourself to go on and not be destroyed behind this, But I would encourage you, in the meantime, to continue to learn, educate yourself about schizophrenia, all that you can, and to find support. Find an online support group for friends and partners of people with schizophrenia, and also, if possible, join an in-person support group so you can go and get some edification from other people that are dealing with what you're dealing with. One of the worst things you can do if you're in a crisis is to isolate yourself. You definitely need some support to be able to navigate through this. Be prayerful, meditate and do what you need to do to bring peace to your mind. And if you need counseling, that's a great thing. Counseling can be so wonderful, to be able to deal with and talk through the issues. And it could be a professional counselor, it could be talking to a friend, but I would definitely encourage, since this relationship, you said it was a 5-year relationship, that had to cause you some pain. I know that it has, So I would definitely encourage you to seek some professional counseling in terms of that, and also to continue to reach out to others. And what I would like to do also is to ask my subscribers and the people out there that will read or hear rather this video to also offer your suggestions as well. Sometimes one person doesn't have all of the answers, or maybe something that was missed that another viewer will be able to address. So that is my response to you in terms of this, and I really hope and pray the best outcome is possible for you, and I hope that this video response was helpful in some way, or that it helped to bring just a little bit more light to your situation. Alright, take good care of yourself, beloved. Much love. Alright, okay. This is from a young lady, and she entitles it Advice, Please Help. Hi. First and foremost, thank you for posting all your videos about mental illness and schizophrenia. My boyfriend of 5 years, who is a young black male, by the way, has been suffering from mental illness since last year. However, at the time, his family and I did not understand what was happening to him until it got to the point last year in October. He was taken to a mental facility where he stayed for 5 days. He came out and we were together for about a month, and he seemed to be getting slightly better, although he still had his moments. However, a little over a month ago we had to relocate, and he went to stay with his brother, and that day he relapsed. And that was the day he cut me off personal messages on my page from people that are interested in knowing different things about mental health issues, questions about themselves, the things they're dealing with, or family, friends, loved one, children, partner. I mean, you name it. I think I've gotten every type of letter almost that you can think of from almost every type of person, from almost any kind of situation. So because of getting at times so many different correspondences, I felt it would be easier just to take out periods of time to do a video response. Oye, mi gente, you know who this is. I received a letter on the 17th that really touched my heart a lot, and it inspired me to really get about starting something with the channel that I had been thinking about, but I just had so many things happening, I didn't have a chance to really focus on it. However, after getting this letter, I decided that for the 2013, this would be a really good time to go ahead with this portion of work for the channel. What this will be, essentially, I receive at times a good amount of since I was a small child, and I've been in treatment for a number of years, so I think I have something that I may be able to share. With that being said, I'm not a mental health professional, but I have had a lot of years experience dealing with such issues, and I know a lot of people also who deal with mental health issues as well. So I'm not a stranger to the topic at all. So what I would say is, if you would like, you can send personal messages again to my page. You can go on my page and send it, and from time to time we'll have these moments. So let's get started with the first response, and we'll call it your mental health moment. And so what I would like, if you're out there and you see this video and you have a question that you would like for me to answer or address, just send it to me in a personal message. And what I'll do, I'll read your letter. I won't put your subscriber name. Of course, I'm going to respect your privacy or whatever. And then I'll respond to it. And I'm going to give my honest opinions and thoughts about the situation. I have been blogging about mental health issues here on YouTube since about 2009. And I've been living with mental health issues